Hi, Adrian. You back on?
Yeah. So I've done 5.7.
5.7. Yeah, well, I was going to cover quickly 4 and 5 tonight. So what we're going to look at quickly is you've done 4, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Phil. I can't hear you breaking up. Can you just repeat?
All right. Okay. I'll check my mic. Just a second.
You okay?
Yeah. I'm just checking my mic.
Oh gosh, I don't know if it's my computer. I may just see if I can get it better on my phone.
Right, I've got mic on full volume now. Registering okay.
You will now be placed into the conference. This call is being recorded.
Hi, yeah. Oh, sorry.
We've got an echo. Are you on the phone as well?
Yeah, I do. But I've turned off the sound of it, so. Yeah. So hang on.
Okay. The trouble is, if you put the sound on with the phone, it just echoes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, what were you saying about?
I was just going to run into 4 just to make sure you've got everything sorted on 4. Yeah. But it's only a short one, 4. So it's looking at promoting appropriate behaviour and respect for others. And again, it looks at and it explains ways to promote equality and value diversity and establish a safe and inclusive learning environment. It falls into one, really. And the advice I put on there is to read. We've gone again. Are you still there? We're back in. We're back in. Yeah.
I'm back. I'm sorry about that. I just couldn't hear you from my laptop, so I just put you on my.
Okay. Yeah. What it is, 4 is just run all 3 assessment criteria actually run into each other, and the best way to respond to that is check your own establishment's equality and diversity policy and just explain how it's implemented, really. And again, using the college health and safety policy to explain how that is implemented as well, and that generally covers LO4. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've done 5. You looked at the effectiveness of teaching and learning approaches used in your own area of specialism. You've analysed the benefits and limitations of communications methods used in your own area, and you've analysed the effectiveness of resources that you use in the work that you do. Yeah. 5.4 is just looking at inclusive teaching and learning approaches and resources and saying why those are inclusive, or it meets the individual needs of your learners. 5, demonstrate ways to promote equality and value diversity. And again, this is down to referring back to LO4, where the implementation policy of your organisation comes in. Now, we mentioned right at the start of this one, if you have the initial assessment documentation and ILPs for 2 learners, one of them with an issue, yeah. This is at 5.6, adapt teaching and learning approaches and resources, including technologies to meet the individual needs of learners. And this is where you can look at the learner with the special need, yeah.
Yeah.
5.7, communicate with learners and learning professionals to meet the individual needs. So this is where you've used copies of the feedback you give to learner on assessment records, any IV feedback to assessor, minutes of any meetings, if you've got any standardisation you've done in your college, and If you've not, then again, the best person to contact is the nominated IQA, because there will be one. You just need to find out who it is and then explain what you're doing, and he'll be able to supply you with the material more than likely. All they'll then need to do is put a short copy of, a sort of pre-seed copy of that in and just refer to it when you explain what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the thing I've been struggling a little bit with is, well, really the sort of the repetition. I mean, a lot of the questions I'm finding, I've sort of covered a lot of it in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you can refer back to that as well.
Yeah, I mean, when I refer back, I mean, can I just say like C 1.3 or?
You just need to say hello, whatever, hello 1.3 or 1.4, and then just say where I've actually said that this does this and that does that. Yeah, that's really what you need to do for those. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just because I move on to like the next question and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've covered this before and I feel I have to find, basically, rewrite the whole thing in a different way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No. If you can refer directly to response, if your response that you've covered earlier will cover what you want to say, all I work on is the assessment criteria, what it says. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you've covered what it says earlier, then you can explain why you've covered it, and that's it, and just refer to it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I must say I'm finding this unit is it's.
wait till you get to Unit 2, because that is the development. This one is, the title is Teaching and Learning and Assessment in Education and Training. Unit 2 is the development of teaching, learning and assessment in education and training. So there are a lot of opportunities to cross-reference work from previous work that you've done. Again, on 2.1 there, respond to, referring to your initial assessments, yeah?
Yeah.
Copies of your diagnostic or initial assessment for 2 learners.
Yeah, I've got that.
Copies of your lesson plan. Use points 3.2 and 3.4. Show a completed feedback questionnaire. All of those, you're gathering actual documentary evidence and just explaining what it is. And you can refer back to it all the way through the course. Where you've actually covered a certain area in one particular unit, yeah, then you can actually refer back to that. There is quite a lot of repetition in some of the units because I've chosen a standard set of units that most people on this course will cover. I've got one person that's deviated from that. She wants to do another couple of units instead of 2 that I've put because she's already got evidence for it, so that's not a problem. But this is why you get this repetition, because not everybody's doing all the same units sometimes, so it needs to be covered in another unit when you may not have covered another particular unit yet. So that's why you get that. Having said that, units 1, 2, 3 and 4 have got to be done anyway. Those are the mandatory units. The other 5 after that are selected, and as I've said, I've selected those because they match most closely what most people in a teaching situation or teaching assistant situation will be able to cover. So, on 5, were there any specific areas that you struggled with, or you managed that okay then? You up to 5?
I managed it okay.
Yeah.
I think, so I've done 5.7.
Yeah.
I don't know, is there anything after that? Is there 5? No, there's no 5.8. So I'll need to
No, 5 is the long one. There were 7 ACs in there, yeah. There were 6 in the next one as well. It's a pretty long unit, this.
Yeah, I still haven't done 5.3 yet.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to go back to that once I've...
5.3.
At some point, yeah, that's the one, the divider scheme.
Yeah, well, this work that you are producing, the only people that will see this are me, yourself, and probably the IQA. And if by some magic the EQA wanted to actually have a look at your particular work, they may see it as well. So, I've got people in establishments where they think the resources they have are fantastic. Anything they need, they get, and so forth. Others have been extremely critical of the resources they've got in their own area. And by all means say so. This is about, as I've said before, I think, this whole qualification is about you and your situation. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, that in mind, by all means, let rip if you've got an issue. It's not like I say, it's not a document for publication.
No, I'm with you.
So again, it's looking at the effectiveness of the resources that you've got in your area. I had an issue when I was doing the mechanical engineering lab in William College, actually. There were no particular resources for explaining how gearing worked and how bearing, what importance bearings had on the whole operation and how they kept things in place and how it stopped gears from jumping out, and there was nothing on bevel gears really to actually show them except, you know, a bevel gear stuck in a stand in a corner. And I found some sort of tables, and you could, a lot of equipment with them, and you could set up different gear and shaft situations, and they had to be able to line the gears up, you know, check them and everything. And I thought, well, those are extremely useful. I don't look how much they cost, they weren't cheap, but I went to the boss and said, we need these. And he actually came into the workshop and had a look, and looked at the bevel gear set up in the corner and said, you might as well throw that away, it's from about 1930. I said, well, what about these tables then? And after a lot of pressure, I got him to buy a couple. And that then allowed the students to actually make up their own gear trains and see if they worked, or see if they'd made a mistake. That they could design their own setup. And the resources then were adequate for the job that was needed. Prior to that, they were just rubbish. As a tutor, I think you've got to make that very clear to whoever's in charge sometimes. But if you are blessed with one of those where you've got more or less everything you need, that's great.
Yeah.
So not a lot of places are in that position.
No. Well, I think what I'm just going to do is I think I'm just going to throw something on a page and send it to you and just get your opinion and.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. If you're up to, where are we now, 5.7, you've got a little bit to tidy up yourself on that. Send me those five. Send me those five hours over, and I can give you a formative assessment on those. Send you some feedback for you then to continue and finish off the unit. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll do that then.
Yeah. I'll just quickly cover some of the others now while we're on. So 6 is looking at, and I don't know why the learning objectives have gone out of these boxes because they haven't before.
Yeah.
I'll put them back actually before I send it to you anyway. Just let me check if I've actually put that to one side. I don't know what that is. We can go, and that can go there as well. Where have you gone? Adrian, you're around here somewhere. There you are. I don't know where I've done a front sheet for you yet. Here we are. Yes, I have. I made a start. Yeah. I've done up to, I've given you, have you seen this feedback? You have, haven't you?
Hang on. Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, I've sent that back. I passed all that off. All one's complete.
That's, I think that's the last you sent me, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen anything since.
Yeah, well, I've actually put the learning outcomes in here. 3, yeah. 4, 5, 6, yeah. 6, 7, and 8, yeah. 7 and 8 are in. Yeah, I'll work up this one anyway. So looking at 6, purposes and types and the way you assess in education and training. That is a bit general. So it's looking at initial assessment, formative and summative, questioning, tests, skills tests, etc. The things that you generally use in the assessment process where you are.
Yeah.
And then looking at, what have we got on picking up? No, that's funny. Never mind. Look at the effectiveness of the assessment methods. This is asking you to analyse the methods that you use in meeting the individual needs of learners with those assessment methods, and put on if you thought they could be improved or if you think they work fine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
3 is looking at the different types or methods of assessment, including peer and self-assessment to involve learners. Again, I'll give you the incidents of the gear train setups that I've brought in, allowed them to make their own gear setups, and then invited the others that were doing the other one to come across and sort of mark each other's effectiveness on what they produced. So that was quite interesting, actually. So again, how do you involve? You involve the learners in the assessment, how you meet any specific individual needs.
Yeah.
Allowing them to produce the evidence that's valid, reliable and sufficient, authentic and current, and meet the internal and external assessment requirements. And again, that last bit is looking at your IQA again to find out what the actual internal and external assessment requirements are, so that you're fully aware of those if you're not already. So again, the guy who does that should be a fount of knowledge, if you like, or a supply of information.
All right.
Yeah. And if he grumbles, tell him I said so. I'll come and see him.
Will do.
Again, an example of where you use it, questioning and feedback to contribute. Any assessment records you've got, the 6.5, yeah?
Yeah.
So these will be copies of assessment records that you've done, explaining what they are and why they were done and what they were done for. And the only thing you need to remember on these, where you use documents that has a learner's name, you just remove the name.
Yeah.
And refer to them as A and B. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then communicating assessment information with other professionals with an interest in the learner's achievement. That is exactly what I've just been saying earlier. The people involved are yourself as the assessor, the candidate obviously as well, or the learner, and the IQA and possibly the EQA. Those are the only 4 people that have right of access to the data and information that's in there. So how you actually deliver assessment material to the quality assurer in your establishment.
Okay.
So just an easy, explanation of how that actually happens. 7 is analyse ways in which minimum core can be demonstrated in planning, delivering and assessing inclusive teaching and learning. If you are working to a syllabus, some of this will already be included in that. This was an easy one for me in the engineering sector because there was a considerable amount of maths, not complicated maths, but mathematics used in, and English in writing up the reports for job reports and things like that they'd actually completed.
Yeah.
If they'd used IT, then obviously any IT use in there will cover that as well. And then it's analyse ways to be done and apply. Where it said apply, it's here you need to show evidence, of how that's done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Documentary again. 8 is the only one that's different. 8 is now about you, and it's a review of yourself and the effectiveness of your own practice in planning, delivering, assessing inclusive teaching and learning, taking into account the views of learners and others. Yeah. So any reflective review of your own practice, any ideas for reflection of learning in outcome 7. In Unit 3, you can look on that as well, because you may have covered some of that in Unit 3, yeah, where it does the review section at the end, yeah.
Yes.
And again, 8.2 is once you've gone through that process, look at areas of improvement in your own practice. And again, this task can be cross-referenced from Learning Objective 7 of Unit 3, but check first what you've actually written, yeah?
Yeah.
When you do a cross-reference from another unit, basically, look at what 8.2 says, look at what LO7 of Unit 3 says. If they match up and what you've written will cover what says on here anyway, then it's a cross-reference. And you can just put on, please cross-refer to my responses on Unit 3, Learning Objective 7, and if there's an assessment criteria, that as well. That's all you need to write on there. What I will do when I'm going through this, I will look at what you've produced for Unit 3, I'll read through what you've said, and on the review sheet at the side here, I'll just put on cross-reference checked and accepted, yeah.
Okay.
And that then, once that's done, is done. So basically, I've just written on reminded on some of this. All the suggestions are there to help you use naturally occurring evidence that you produce in your day-to-day work as a teacher. Some of you might not cover all the practices in your job, for instance, initial assessment, blah, blah. But in this case, get copies of the evidence that you can then produce. Same applies to any other process that you have not personally done, but must give full details of how the process works within the establishment in which you work. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what I'll do, I'll have a few examples on there that will help you out with some of that, and I'll send those across to you. Do not use them.
Awesome.
Just use them as a reference. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. I think I've got one somewhere. I'll look it up afterwards anyway. I'll send it across to you if I can find it. I've got a pile of stuff on my machine at the moment which I need to sort out tomorrow. But basically, that is the end of the unit in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So before we've done a fairly short one tonight, only about half an hour. Before I close, have you got any specific issues that you've got in mind or anything you want to ask? Excuse me.
No. It was only really just the amount of repetition that.
Don't worry about that. Anytime you think you've got evidence together that you can cover that with, then by all means refer to it. Yeah.
Okay. Will do.
And on somewhere there is direct crossovers. I've got here. I've written it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unit 3, LO7, yeah, on there. So where I put it, there's an obvious one, I put it on. But again, people will, in different situations, will write different things, and sometimes they don't cover it all, and they need to add something to it, to sort of link it, that's all.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, if you can send those samples across, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll do that, and I'll say good evening now to you, because I think...
Yeah, thank you so much, Paul.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks for coming on, Adrian, and I'll speak to you soon. And as I said, if you want to send some stuff across to have a quick look at and go through, I can complete, I can carry on with this from where I left off. Whoops. And I can, I'll put some more page numbers and A's down here, and get rid of some of this and put some actual, feedback to you on as well.
Okay. Yeah, I can send it through to you what I've got.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for attending again. Yeah, same to you. Bye now.
Okay. Bye.